A commanding 3-1 series lead, 30 points for Anthony Edwards. The Knicks took a 3-1 lead over the Celtics at Madison Square Garden, 121-113 the final. Jason Tatum had 42 points in the loss for Boston. The star had to be carried off the court late in the fourth quarter after suffering a non-contact lower leg injury. MRI results await. Tonight, the Cavaliers play host to the Pacers. It's Game 5. Cleveland, the top seed in the Eastern Conference, down 3-1 in the series. In Oklahoma City, it's the Thunder and Nuggets Game 5. That series tied at 2-2. The full NFL schedule is due to be released on Wednesday, but the latest reveal has the Eagles hosting the Bears on Black Friday. The Eagles open the schedule Thursday, September the 4th against the Cowboys. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love, love what you find. A total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
Hey, best job every day officially underway. It is a Tuesday. No better place to be than on the SportsGrid Network for Moneyline. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Kevin Walsh. So many topics to hit, which includes the NBA draft we'll get into. What happened last night in the future of the Boston Celtics. Does that mean one more game in the future? And also for the 2025-2026 season where Jason Tatum, we're just expecting the news coming out, Kevin, maybe any time now that MRI confirms that we had a torn Achilles, and away we go, and so much more, which includes NFL topics where the Eagles are the apple of the NFL's eye, because that's all people care about. When are the Eagles playing, Kevin, in 2025? And I agree.
Yeah, we've got a ton of Eagles games so far.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know why the Eagles' schedule is leaking so much. Like, the opening game of the season, that makes sense. But, like, do you think the Eagles, Nani, are going to be, like, by far and away the most on primetime team in football this year? Like, I'm not saying they won't be the most. They won the Super Bowl. That maybe they should be. But I imagine Kansas City, Buffalo, Dallas will all still have Detroit, a lot of major slots.
Yeah, no, and I know where you're going with this, too. But I just think that they're maybe giving the Eagles a little bit of respect coming off that Super Bowl season. They have a lot of superstar players. And it does hit where it's like, okay, we're releasing the Super Bowl champions because why? They're involved on opening night, and we're going to build off of that excitement here and give you some other marquee games that they have. And you know the NFL is always about innovation with making more money. And you know what? The Bears are an up-and-coming team. Throw the world champion Eagles with them on a standalone Black Friday game at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It just makes sense. And also leaking out the Packers game in Lambeau Field, prime time versus a team that you just played in the playoffs. It's almost like that correlation of, all right, just leak out some of those big games for the world champions because we'll get an instant response, as opposed to, yeah, we know Baltimore's good. Yeah, we know the Bills are good, but we're going to give the due respect to the world champions right now and leak some big games out and build off of that. That's the way I see it.
But I think you hit on something there very quickly, Don. The notion of superstars.
Yeah.
if you rank what feels like the 10 biggest players in football, Philly has 2 of them. How many other people can say that? Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, I think, are 10 of the biggest stars in the National Football League.
Damn.
I mean, quite frankly, Don, if I had to list you the top 15, about 11 of them are birds. Jalen Carter, A.J. Brown. I mean, my Lotta was singing with a country singer the other day I saw.
True.
But
Stapleton.
It feels like when I'm saying that they're 2 of the top 10, I'm playing that safe, right? Like, if you talk about the absolute faces of the National Football League, those guys are really high up the list. And I'll add this. I feel as if there's, at least with maybe Saquon, I know there was the thing like 3 weeks ago, whatever. We're absolutely not going to get into that. But, like, some people are tired of Mahomes. Some people don't think Josh Allen is as good. Lamar can split a room. The Saquon Barkley stuff's pretty straightforward. Fantastic football player.
Yep. Absolutely. And sort of that next season where it's like, okay, opening night, Super Bowl trophy. Can he run for 275 yards against the Dallas Cowboys defense, which he's going to try to do. But everybody's going to be healthy in that game. Like, shot out of a cannon is going to be Michael Parsons. The excitement level certainly high. But also, the NFL adding that Friday night game opening weekend, it just hits like crack, man. It's beautiful. You have a Thursday night game, a Friday night game, the anticipation of that full slate on Sunday, then Monday night game, and maybe a Monday night doubleheader or a Sunday night doubleheader, whatever they might be giving us there for opening weekend. I love to see it in the NFL as king. But I did see a lot of stuff also coming out on the restructuring of how many overseas games we're playing, and they're playing a lot. And I don't necessarily agree with it because of the time. Like, if you played every international game, Kevin, on a Friday night, I think it would be awesome. Like, I love Friday night football, Thursday, Friday, into Sunday. It's fantastic. Like, I love the Black Friday game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think that's awesome stuff overall. But for me, I look at that. But there is a scheduling advantage, Kevin, that if I'm an NFL franchise that I might want to agree to in the future, because you saw them say, okay, hey, look, Minnesota's going to play back-to-back weeks overseas. Like, we've done it before with the Jaguars, but the Jaguars, like, we stink, we're irrelevant. Can we just get more money by playing over there as many times as we can? That's what Shad Khan and them did for a while. Now they're a little bit more relevant, but the Vikings get that spot. But now the NFL is trading off of them, saying, okay, you'll go overseas back-to-back weeks, which week number 2 is a major advantage because you're already over there. Ireland to London, not too big of a change here. I don't even know if it's a time difference of even an hour. It's probably not same time zone. Works out in their favor. But the trade-off, Kevin, is both of those are road games, which means instead of going to play Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, you get Pittsburgh in a neutral site. That's a win for your franchise. Game number 2 is Cleveland. Now, who knows how good Cleveland's going to be? It'd still be a road game. That's now a neutral site game. The Vikings have all their home games, Kevin, and 2 neutral site games. That's big.
Yeah, look, I guess that's the reward, though, because there's still some uncertainty as to whether or not, now, and they're really drumming it up, right? Like last year, the double London for Jacksonville, if memory serves, game number 2 worked their favor. I think they lost the first one of those games to the Bears, I want to say. But for Minnesota, the idea is they're going from country to country. Now, look, it's not, the flight from London to Dublin is going to be next to nothing, quite frankly. So, it could work well in their favor. You talked, though, about key dates, Donnie, and this is something that you and I, and it depends, actually, if we're going to massively disagree on it. It really depends. The NFL trying to make every single day their day, I find very off-putting.
I love
and
it.
I know, hold on a second. I know that you've enjoyed them bullying the NBA on Christmas because you don't like the NBA's regular season. I hate it, but I understand why I might be, I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I understand our disagreement and how we get there. The NFL bulldozing the college football playoff is a disgrace. It is embarrassing. It is detrimental to even itself. And we did it last year, and the NFL games felt irrelevant to the college football playoff. And it is something that nobody wants. And the NFL just forcing their way. Oh, every day is our day. I'm telling you, it is going to backfire. It is. It probably won't financially because Netflix and Amazon will pay a gazillion dollars and then it'll be their fault. But on December 20th, I want to watch round number 1 of college football playoff action. Not, the NFL also grabbed 2 games on here.
You don't watch the Eagles on that day? What's wrong with you?
Are the Eagles one of the December 20th games? Is that? That's terrible.
Yep. That's the Packers game? Who is that? I think it might be the
Commanders, maybe?
Oh, Commanders, you're
Packers,
right. Packers,
Bears, Eagles, Commanders. Yep. Is that what it was?
Yep. Eagles, Commanders in Washington, I believe it is, yes. But I can do it. I can do without that because I do enjoy college football on Saturday. But I just love, if you can get that international mixed into a Friday. There's the NFL's always done Saturdays, which again says, hey, college football, step up. Step up Thursday night, Friday night. Step up. Get off that Saturday.
What do you mean the NFL's going to have? The NFL's going to have. Hold on. How is it now that
the Thursday night game's whack?
No.
So
but how is it now that you're telling me college football, who's laid all these plans, has to adjust to the NFL bulldozing into a Saturday? The NFL, by the way, is making it.
We can all work together.
No. It's very clear the NFL actually doesn't want to work together, and the NFL went, wait a second, we're not giving you that day. Where do you get off thinking you're getting that day? We're the NFL. Bulldoze.
The NFL bullies college football to Thursday and Friday night. We are such a better society. Trust me. In December, you tell me I get Thursday night, Friday night, or college football playoffs, Saturday NFL, Sunday NFL, and Monday NFL. Baby, we'll be back.
Boys of summer have returned and taken the field for the great American pastime.
You should monetize that.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. American-Israeli hostage Eden Alexander, held captive by Hamas in Gaza since October 7, 2023, was released on Monday after successful negotiations between the U.S. and the terrorist organization. The International Committee of the Red Cross transferred the 21-year-old from Gaza to Israeli authorities. The U.S. and China issued a joint statement Monday announcing an agreement to cut reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. U.S. and Chinese representatives convened for talks in Geneva, Switzerland over the weekend. The U.S. and China will maintain 10% reciprocal tariffs as part of the agreement. The Trump administration welcomed a group of 49 white South Africans as refugees, saying they face discrimination and violence at home. The country has strongly denied these allegations. President Trump said that in post-apartheid South Africa, white farmers are being killed, and he plans to address the issue with South American leadership next week. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. SportsGrid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Oh, more NFL, the better. Just opening up Wednesday, I believe tomorrow, is the full release of the NFL schedule, which, again, most of the big names out there. The only one that we're really waiting on now, which is the worst kept secret, Kevin, opening Friday night in Sao Paulo, Brazil, will be the Chiefs and also the Chargers in that game. I believe I read something like, well, YouTube wants to have an announcement themselves, so that's why they didn't release it yet. That's going to be the Chiefs, which is an awesome game. Eagles-Cowboys opening night, Chiefs-Chargers, game number 2, which will be on that Friday night. And then you head into the Sunday card, and away you go into the NFL season. And it's coming up sooner than later. Like, we're on May 13th right now. I'm already getting excited. Like, college football's coming up. Pro football's coming up. It's the way to do it and the way it is. So you see some of these, we're excited. Eagles favored by 6.5, I think. opening night, and also the Eagles are favored by 6.5 against the Bears on that Black Friday game. And then the other game that was up, what was the other game that was up? 4 or 5 point spread? I can't even remember what the other game was up on FanDuel at that point. But they'll start to leak through and have some fun. But we got a ways to go with that too. So NFL talk as it comes in hot. We get another release during the show. We'll certainly bring that up, but that's the way it is. But Kevin, last night, we are going to talk Knicks in just a moment. Tatum's injury, what that means for the series, the rest of the NBA playoffs. But I do want to talk about the NBA draft lottery. I was sitting there watching this, and I forgot about it. I get a text from Frieza, like it's starting, like, oh, it says trust the process, which mean I meant like the Sixers probably got the 13th overall pick, if that was possible with that text that I got. But it wasn't. Tuned right in and saw the numbers flip and saw the Sixers get into the top 4. And then not realizing once the draft was over, like how low of odds that the Dallas Mavericks had until they said it, and also the San Antonio Spurs, and quite frankly, the Philadelphia 76ers at about 10%. I loved where the draft went. Now, outside of the Sixers, for my self-rooting interest, getting Cooper Flagg, I needed them to be in the top 3 because I think it's a 3-player draft with special talents, let's just say. A lot of still good basketball players that are going to be drafted in the rest of the lottery, but that's where I thought it was. The Sixers kept their pick. It didn't convey to OKC. They got a top 3 here. But also understanding that I am so happy that Cooper Flagg is going to Dallas. Not because Dallas made a terrible trade in the NBA and it's rigged and all that. We'll get into that in a second. But the fact that he's going to a franchise that has superstar players and should be a good team next year, loves it. The Spurs are going to be a fun team to watch for the next decade with Wembanyama. They get picked too. Love that. My Philadelphia 76ers already have superstars and an MVP, tanked out the rest of the season and did it perfectly. They'll get a talented player day number 1. And the horrendous franchises all got left out in the dust, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I loved the way the draft went down last night.
Yeah, but don't you realize that viewpoint is in a situation where, Donnie, then those teams are going to stay forever terrible?
They're always
Why is
terrible.
that good?
Because they're going to waste good talent. Like the Lakers, Kevin, when they're
in
down.
the 90s, Donnie, the Utah Jazz were in the finals multiple.
Correct. But so were the Dallas Cowboys. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
okay, yeah, the Dallas.
They have been irrelevant since Stockton and Malone left, a putrid, irrelevant franchise that nobody cares about. Why should we waste talent on them just to leave in 3 or 4 years?
No, but the idea, Donnie, is with a draft, right? The reason why in the NFL it's scaled the way it is is to give everyone a chance to at some point be competitive. So you're telling me that your hope is that there are at least 6 to 9 teams that literally 25 years never have a chance to even think they can win a title?
Yes.
I don't understand why that's good.
Because I look at it and say this, like when the Lakers are down, it's better for the NBA that the Lakers are good. Give them Luka Doncic for free. Backhand deal, whatever it was, fantastic. Love to see it. Basketball is better when the Knicks are good in the big market, and the Boston Celtics, and the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Chicago Bulls. Like, that's when basketball is at its best here, when you're getting the ratings and the big cities and the big markets in. Everybody operates under the same, restraints, like the bird rights and the salary cap you have here, and also the same lottery. I just didn't want to see a talent who I want to enjoy in Cooper Flagg go to Utah and have nobody give a damn about the Jazz for 5 to 6 years, and then he finally escapes and is able to go somewhere where he can be with a good player. The Charlotte Hornets, an abomination of a franchise since Grandmama back in the early 1990s, horrendous. The Pelicans, you already got Zion. You ruined him. We ain't doing that again with Cooper Flagg. That's the way I see it here. I don't want really good, talented players going to wasted franchises. The Spurs will be good next year, impact talent. Dallas will be good next year, impact talent. Sixers will be good next year, impact talent. The NBA got better with that draft lottery last night.
Look, there's a lot of chaos that could come out of it. I enjoy the lottery from that perspective. I think there's a lot of questions around, will the Spurs trade the pick? Will the Sixers trade Embiid? Will Nico Harrison just, flood the entire, who knows what's going to happen? But the face of the NBA spent half of his career with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Superstars, Donnie, are superstars. The favorites to win the NBA championship are the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's just, I'm sorry, I find it to be a little silly that oh, we're in a much better situation. Like the NBA, Donnie, is much better off with Cooper Flagg emerging into one of the 4 best players in the NBA, whenever that is, than Cooper Flagg being a role player on a 7th seed.
No, but you're going to be, like, put it this way, and I always like to bring, like, I'm the common fan. You give me a good product, I'll watch it here. Like, I don't like the NBA in the regular season, but you give me a damn good product in the playoffs, Kevin, I'll watch. I don't need to see Cooper Flagg as an afterthought for 5 full years. I just don't need to see it. Like, nobody cares about Utah.
Happen. There's no, like, Wemby's not an afterthought.
Has anybody ever ran into a Jazz fan outside of Salt Lake City? It just doesn't exist. It's a dead franchise. Like, if you went with Cooper Flagg to Washington, what a waste, man. That is a horrendously, just brutal franchise that if you would have given them Cooper Flagg and just wasted him into eternity. Same thing with the Brooklyn Nets. Thank God they didn't get somebody in that top here. Just wasting away when the Knicks are the franchise in that city. Like, from a business standpoint, and for me, getting excited next year, the NBA nailed it last night. They nailed it. Couldn't have went better for them business-wise.
See, but even that wasn't true because of all the things you listed, it would have been probably just better off if Cooper Flagg went to Chicago. Because the Bulls have
minded it. Yeah,
but I don't know. I still don't need. But you also don't need like everyone condensed. Like I don't think they need the Sixers with the 3rd pick necessarily there. But I don't know. I think it's pretty tough that the 3 teams that have the worst 3 records, none are picking in the top 3.
That
seems pretty broken.
Cancel them, sell them, fire them off into the sun. We don't need them. They're all horrendous franchises. They got exactly what they deserve. Oh, let's tank. Yeah, tank into the abyss, baby. Love it.
SportsGrid. Stamping out the boredom in baseball year after year. We bring you all the angles, insights, and information you need. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1958, Stan Musial is the 8th Major League player to get 3,000 hits.
Ryan Garnett is into left field. Hit number 3,000. A run is scored. Musial ran first.
Stan the Man had a 331 career average and hit 475 home runs for the Cards. Musial never struck out more than 46 times in a season. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New artificial intelligence research at the Institute of Science Tokyo intends to revolutionize the creation of perfume.
The sweet smell of petunias.
AI programmed with mass spectrometer profiles of essential oils rapidly creates new scents.
Subtle hints of desperation eau de toilette.
With user-defined odor descriptors.
Slightly burnt toast cologne.
Eliminating trial and error.
The clean woody scent of my laundry basket.
AI streamlining labor-intensive specialized perfuming means scalable production and unique fragrances.
I call it eau de sweaty tapeworm.
Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Football full circle.
If the guy's not ready, get rid of him. You're making it sound like this is Aaron Rodgers when he won a Super Bowl back in 2011. He's nowhere near that type of quarterback. We're acting like this guy is the savior and the cherry on top for the Pittsburgh Steelers to just race to an AFC championship. When is enough enough?
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. In baseball, a batter gets 3 strikes. In sports gaming, you get 1.
No do-overs.
You need all the help you can get. And that's what you get with us, your trusted source for gaming odds and more. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Everybody hanging out in the chat box here. Darren, Jordan, Aaron, everybody getting down with the business here at the SportsGrid Network. It's Moneyline, the best hour of your day. It is underway. We get that. Hot topics flowing. The NFL schedule release is coming up here Wednesday. That'll be done in full. Talking a little NBA draft, which I don't know how you perfect the draft per se. But again, if you are a team whose team stinks and you didn't get your draft pick, understand why you're upset. But also, I just think for the business of the NBA to give the good teams even better players, that's what it's about. Like teams we want to watch dynasties. We want to watch Jordan. We want to watch LeBron James. We want to watch the big 3. those draw in the ratings and have superstar players added to teams that are already talented as opposed to bozo organizations. I just liked it, Kev. I just liked the way it played out, and I thought it made sense here. That's all.
Again, I found the results of it all really, really fun. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about off of the NBA lottery. I'm just saying, I am not, if you're going to run on the campaign of I will have the Wizards picking outside of the top 5
every time
for the rest of the franchise's history.
Yeah, they never get a first round.
Like I'm not, I don't think I'm going to back the stance there ultimately. But again, great lottery, historic lottery. You know, what will Dallas do?
Let me ask you, because we're going to get into Dallas right now. Let me ask you this question. Like, Nico Harrison has been put under the gun, and rightfully so. What an idiot. What a dope. Can't believe this went out. Like, if this leaked 10 hours before the trade, there would be an avalanche that would not allow this trade to go down, specifically from Dallas Mavericks fans. But as it turns out, Kevin, is there a chance that in 10 years we look back at this and be like, that was the best trade that was ever made in NBA history by Nico Harrison?
No.
Like, could it be?
0% chance.
I traded, Luka. We fell apart. We got injured. We ended up in the lottery, and we got a generational talent, if it works out. Like, we're expecting Cooper Flagg to be a very good NBA player. We've seen a lot of very good, talented college players, but he's all right at the NBA level. But let's just say it works out. And in 8 years, the Dallas Mavericks have a trophy that they're holding up, and Luka never won for the Lakers. Do we have to revise history and say Nico is one of the best general managers in the history of the sport? Do you have to do that?
Yeah, no, not at all. Not even consider it. I'm gonna try an analogy. Tell me if it works. I'm on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
If I could sell my home for $10 million,
yes,
and then proceed to sell it for $1 million, and then that home floods,
yes.
Are people going to look back and go, it flooded, or it's like you literally got 10 times less than you were supposed to get? Like, ultimately, you got 10 times less than you were supposed to get. I do not understand why yes! It's on the record,
now I'm looking
Donnie.
at Kyrie. Now I'm looking at AD. I'm looking at Flagg. Let me ask you this question right now.
Yeah.
If you were Jeannie Buss and the NBA loves the Lakers and they pulled her into a room and said, look, this can't get out. We're willing to do a franchise swap. You guys still stay the Lakers. They're still the Mavericks. But do you want to swap rosters right now with the Dallas Mavericks? Right now. Not in 5 years. Right now. What would the Los Angeles Lakers do?
They would stick with their roster. And they wouldn't even think twice. I truly don't know what planet you people are on. So, Donnie, how many games do you think Kyrie is going to play next season?
I don't know.
The answer might be 0.
It was ACL? Or it was Achilles?
It was his ACL, I believe. I think it was an ACL instead of the Achilles. So, Kyrie might play 0 games. Let's be optimistic. Plays 20. Okay. Not great. Anthony Davis showed up for Dallas, game number 1, got injured in the fourth quarter. All right. I guess we'll see how that goes. Right? That's assuming that they don't end up just trading AD this offseason or trading Cooper Flagg this offseason. Ultimately, Donnie, they don't have a player on the roster better than LeBron. Forget Luka. So if you're just asking me for next year, it's not even close.
I don't know. I'm telling you. I think I'm still taking Dallas next year, the years after that, and beyond. What do we have for? How old is Giannis? Is 30 right now. He turns 31 next season. They talking about Dallas says number 1 draft pick. We're going to go for Anthony Kupo. Does that get done? Like straight up? Is that a straight up move you could make?
If I'm the Bucks, I'm doing it. I think I might be alone. The problem is you also need another thing to make the money work.
Yeah, you do.
So I think that's where it gets tricky.
It is. There's so many options now, so many fun topics here. We'll get more next right here on Moneyline.
The NBA playoffs.
It all comes down to this.
And we'll give you all the angles to make sure you win a little something something. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The NBA draft lottery was Monday. The Mavericks get the top overall selection. They had only a 1.8% chance of doing so. San Antonio got the second overall pick, followed by the Sixers, the Hornets, the Jazz. The Wizards picked sixth, the Pelicans seventh. Then it's the Nets, the Raptors, the Rockets, the Blazers, the Bulls, the Hawks, and then the Spurs again in a pick they got from Atlanta. Tonight, the Cavaliers play host to the Pacers. It's Game 5. Cleveland, the top seed in the Eastern Conference, down 3-1 in the series. In Oklahoma City, it's the Thunder and Nuggets Game 5. That series tied at 2-2. The full NFL schedule is due to be released on Wednesday, but the latest reveal has the Eagles hosting the Bears on Black Friday. The Eagles open the schedule Thursday, September the 4th against the Cowboys. In Week 16, the Eagles will take on the Commanders while the Packers will face the Bears. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
It's Macy's Friends and Family Sale. Hurry in for insider deals on must-have spring styles from your favorite brands, like an extra 30% off new dresses, handbags, and accessories from Karl Lagerfeld Paris, Donna Karan New York, Avec La Vie, and more. Plus, get 15% off fragrances, beauty, and skincare, too. It's not only the best time to shop for yourself, it's also the best time to shop early for Mother's Day. Don't miss Friends and Family starting tomorrow at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Let's keep it real.
Baseball can be boring.
That's where SportsGrid comes in.
Nothing livens up those 9 innings like sports gaming. You might experience something you've never felt in a baseball game, a quickened pulse. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Wanted to talk about ramifications of the draft and where that comes in. We're just anticipating that Cooper Flagg's going to be 1, and then probably the 2 Rutgers kids at 2 and 3. Things could change, though, from here to the draft. We'll see, but certainly not on Cooper Flagg. But things are going to change tonight, Kevin. There's no doubt about it. The Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers, Denver Nuggets, and OKC. Nuggets and Thunder, winner of that game doesn't clinch the series either way, and we head back to a Game 6 regardless of the victors there. The Pacers and the Cavaliers, much different here. But before, Kevin, we get to that, I just want to circle back to last night's game, Knicks and the Celtics. I thought the Celtics would win that game. I liked them to cover the 6.5 points. Looked awesome in the first quarter, second quarter, into the third quarter. Then the New York Knicks said, you know what? Watch our one-on-one game out here. Watch Jalen Brunson cook. Watch Bridges absolutely cook out here. Watch Karl Anthony Towns cook in one-on-one. It was impressive to watch. It was a great victory for them. But Tatum goes down late in that game, which looks like he tears his Achilles. Forget about next year. Let's just talk about this series here. Boston's still a favorite in game number 5 as they head back. But you need breaks, Kevin, along the way, which means game number 5, if even the Celtics lost, would still be a tough closeout for the Knicks, 5, 6, and 7, because the Celtics are really good. Not going to be as hard without Jason Tatum, who's playing a phenomenal series and a phenomenal game last night. But understand this, too. You might be looking at the Eastern Conference Finals like, oh, okay, well, they got to play the Cleveland Cavaliers. Doesn't look like they're playing the Cavaliers either. Is this the Knicks' magical season right now that's lining up for them to get to the finals because you need breaks and they might get every single break you can get?
The worry for the Knicks is how painful this will be if it does now not result in a trip to the finals. Because you, first of all, now with the Tatum injury, here's the thing. The fact that we do not have word yet on the Tatum, we heard, Donnie, that Lillard tore his Achilles in like the third quarter of that game.
Yes, correct.
Right? The fact that we still have not heard word on Jason Tatum tells me that maybe that's not what happened, but I don't think there's a world that the injury will be, like, I don't see how he plays in this series, right? Like, what planet is that the injury, right? So if the Knicks don't win this series, it would be one of the biggest failures that you could possibly imagine. But I don't really think that's on the board.
Yeah.
So then you look and you think about, well, what could be waiting for you on the other side? And if it is the Cavs and they complete a 3-1 comeback, Cleveland will be favored in the series. but the Knicks will we just beat Boston. Boston's better than Cleveland. We can win this. We've been great on the road.
Yep.
If they lost, though, it wouldn't be the most devastating thing. If the Knicks have their season ended by the Pacers for the second season in a row, if they have their season ended by Tyrese Halliburton for a second season in a row, it is going to be so devastating. Like, I can't think of something that would be, outside of them feeling like, oh, we have this in our hands and, our star player goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do the research when the matchup is set, Donnie. But if I had to guess, I'll be on the Pacers in a Pacers-Knicks Eastern Conference Finals.
Oof. Yeah, look, it's going to be a fun series, not what the NBA anticipated. And also, I feel like we're getting robbed, too. The Celtics are really good. They annoy me, though. The fan base annoys me. I like when they lose. I don't like when they lose, per se, because as I always like to say in the tournament itself, and NCAA college basketball, I love that they got knocked down. Like, oh, it would have been really fun. Cavaliers and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you're not going to get that. Now, granted, if it was the Cavaliers and the Knicks, I would like it. I like the Knicks storyline. It's fun. The fan base is passionate. They got good players on there.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you want the upper level competition all the way across. And there's a chance that the New York Knicks now won't play the Cleveland Cavaliers and get the Pacers. And then in the finals, let's just say, in a dogfight out there, we might not get OKC. And it's like, wait, they can't beat any good teams, but yet they beat the Celtics. They don't have to go through the Cavaliers and might not have to go through OKC. Now, a lot has to play out, and OKC is still the favorite. I expect them to win tonight. We'll get to that game in just a moment. But for me, looking at that Celtics, you're right about this, though. You almost, as a Knicks fan, say, boy, you know what's interesting? Tatum goes down, which is a great thing. But what happens if we lose game number 5 in the Garden, they shoot the lights out? Then we come back home, the pressure's ratcheted up, and we lose that series. I was joking with Ben, you can't even have fans left in the building. The Knicks fans just you know what? it was never meant to be. I got to be a Nets fan. You know what I mean? I got to look elsewhere. We haven't won since 73. It's never going to work.
Can we talk about this, though, from the NBA's perspective for a second?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look, I know we're now spending a lot of people are spending a lot of time talking about the NBA fixing things. Yes. But if you're the NBA and when the conference semifinals were set and you were like, hey, what are the best possible finals that you could get? And you look, right? And it's Knicks Warriors, Celtics Warriors, Knicks Thunder, right? It's all these things. And respectfully, what would be last? Pacers, Wolves, Pacers, Nuggets. That's just, right?
Yep.
And the fact that the NBA is sat there and everybody acknowledges, okay, even the bozos, the NBA has had a resurgence post All-Star break, right? From Luka to the great playoffs. And the NBA, Donnie, if it is Pacers, Knicks, and it's we are either going to get NBA Finals games back in Madison Square Garden and the New York market, or we are going to get John Halliburton unable to attend his son playing in the NBA Finals.
Correct.
It's just what a great, tip of the scales. What a seesaw. Either the absolute A+ maximum outcome or their least rooting interest.
I'm telling you right now, can you imagine the NBA Finals or the Pacers and OKC, two small market teams? The NBA would be smoking, again, I was Adam Silver just smoking packs of cigarettes a day on that, figuring what he could have had at that point. Because they're always their dream scenario is Lakers, Knicks, Lakers versus Celtics, historic, iconic franchises, big markets, the Bulls and Michael Jordan versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Those are the iconic matchups that we like. And we've had bad matchups over the years. I don't care. The Nets getting in the Eastern Conference Finals and making the NBA Finals. Okay, Jason Kidd, and it is technically the New York market, but it's the Nets. And you're sitting there over the river you tell me the Nets are getting the NBA Finals and the Knicks can't get there? You might have that on the cusp where that would be wild. And I love a passionate fan base. We had CP the franchise on today that we were talking to on the early line. And I just ask them questions about the game itself. It's I don't even care about that. Just tell me about your Knicks fandom and how things are starting to open up where there's a pathway to get to a championship round, which the Knicks seemingly never can get to. Understand what's happening. It's day by day. The excitement level is there, but you always know at the opposite end, like, this isn't like the Knicks every 5 years make a run to the finals and every 10 years at least have a championship. This is the Garden, the Mecca of basketball. They never win anything. It's like, let's not get ahead of ourselves right now, because even though we are the favorites now to close out the series, still got to get one more game. Then we got to win the Eastern Conference Finals and get to the finals. But just as a fan, like, New York City is ready to explode with the Knicks, and every win and every game they get, that just builds and builds and builds. But I do love pain. And boy, would I love to see a Game 5 victory for the Celtics, a Game 6 victory for the Celtics. And again, if the Knicks win in Game 7, that's fine. But if that is the case, that happens, like the meltdowns and the Stephen A. Smiths and everybody out of New York City, like, I don't know how you come back from it. It would be just too tough. It would just be too tough.
I am telling you can. I think JP is a Knicks fan, so we could ask him in the break. It would be way more devastating to lose to the Pacers in the conference finals with home court advantage than a Celtics 3-1 comeback. I firmly believe that. Now I'm not a Knicks fan, so maybe I can't win the argument if Knicks fans say otherwise. I'm telling you, Halliburton running around the Garden for a second straight year.
Yes.
Just throwing up laser beams to Andrew Nemhard. I am telling you, man, Knicks fans are not coming back from that one. They are not coming back from that one.
Like, let's just say, and they beat them in 7 games in the Garden, the Pacers, and Daddy Halliburton's out there holding up some towel with his son on it.
John Stud.
Showing it to Spike Lee. Yep, showing it to Spike Lee. Rumbles out there. Oh, tough seeing Knicks. I'm sorry we're doing this to the Knicks fans. Too much fun. We'll be right back.
By the end, you might not have a ring on your finger. Stay tuned and you'll have a little something in your pocket. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Two-time NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo is reportedly open to exploring whether or not it makes sense to move on from Milwaukee. For the third consecutive season, the Bucks were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. Antetokounmpo is coming off one of the best seasons in his career, averaging over 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. The NBA draft lottery was Monday. The Mavericks get the top overall selection. They had only a 1.8% chance of doing so. Tonight, the Cavaliers play host to the Pacers. It's Game 5. Cleveland, the top seed in the Eastern Conference, down 3-1 in the series. In Oklahoma City, it's the Thunder and Nuggets Game 5. That series tied at 2-2. The full NFL schedule is due to be released on Wednesday, but the latest reveal has the Eagles hosting the Bears on Black Friday. The Eagles open the schedule Thursday, September the 4th against the Cowboys. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 5/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store single line activation on qualifying plan. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Something amazing is happening in networking. Organizations are scaling with less stress. That's because CDW is designing and implementing intelligent HPE Aruba networking solutions that simplify and secure operations. With automation at the center of your data center, growing pains can be a thing of the past. HPE Aruba Networking and CDW. Make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Aruba.
Springtime. When a young man's fancy turns to...
Get your mind out of the gutter.
For sports gaming strategies and information that gives you an unfair advantage, you'll find it all right here.
It's the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Yo! Right back at it here, having some fun talking about the Knicks. The Knicks, people, on the verge of victory. We'll get to those games tomorrow, but tonight, Kevin, doubleheader tonight. Pacers, Cavaliers, 7.5 point spread. Cavs are favored. Pacers getting the points, 230 total. The question is Donovan Mitchell. So I'm going to ask you this. Game time decision is truly listed. How much of a game time decision is he? Because his points props are out, Kevin, about 27.5, which shows me that ain't really a game time decision where we're expecting him to play 3 minutes and dip out because his ankle's injured. How do you bet this game? Can you bet it early, or do you have to wait for the afternoon?
Okay, great question. For me, if Donovan Mitchell does not play, it changes everything. We all agree on that. And I think most would agree that if Donovan Mitchell is out for this game, it will move things quite considerably. So I guess the better way to put it is, Donnie, if they say, hey, Donovan Mitchell is in, your 7.5 at most goes up to 8, right? But if he's out, what does this become? 4, maybe lower? I don't know if you think I'm going too far? If he misses the game?
I think 5 would be the number if he misses. Because Kevin, I think it's hedged.
Okay.
I do. The opening line was 9.5. It dropped to 7.5 because we're not sure about Donovan Mitchell, and rightfully so. I look at it like this. Like late in the afternoon, if we get that news, which I'm expecting, like Donovan Mitchell said after the game, like, I'm fine. Like, I'd stop worried about me. They tag him with the game time decision, which I don't want to say grain of salt on that. But I think he's less of a game time decision, as if I don't know if I'm going to play, where he knows he's playing and can function, but what's that high level? Is he 88%? Is he 98%? Does that mean I'll be fine, or is he 78%, which he can still play well and score 20 points, but just isn't all there? I do think this afternoon, Kevin, once we get official word, which I'm expecting, Donovan Mitchell is playing, that line goes higher.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually am to the Donovan Mitchell confidence level of his number becomes potentially the best bet in the game of 27.5, Donnie. Averaging around 40 a game in the series. I understand it's a little bit different with some of the absences that they had, but I just think if he's out there, he's going to be fine. And I think you and we talked about this yesterday, and I think we saw it the same. Donovan Mitchell not playing in the second half of that game against the Pacers was more precautionary than necessity. They were down a gazillion points. So I tend to believe Donovan plays. Here's my can I flip a different question to you? Just because I don't well, maybe we will be on the air. Let's say Cleveland wins tonight by covering margin. So 122 to 108. Okay. Donovan plays, gives you 30.
Yep.
What is that game 6 line?
Still favored by the Cavs. What, multiple points at that point? Yeah.
I mean, that's
Cavs
pretty
3.5.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's because the Pacers have won in Cleveland twice. They just won a game by 20 plus on their home floor, up 40 at the break.
Yep.
And the books are just not going to shift that number a ton to where the series price, if Cleveland is able to win like they're supposed to tonight, you're looking at Indiana minus 150 going into game 6, if there's a game 6.
Yes. Like I like how do you play this out there? Like, because I think the Pacers have a legitimate chance to win, but I am waiting for Donovan Mitchell tonight. Like, for me, heavy public favorite on the Pacers, rightfully so. They're up 3-1. Mitchell's banged up. That's the prevailing notion right now. But that could change up till game time. Also, like, I don't want to leave the second game shortchanged either. Like the Nuggets and the Thunder. For me, Kevin, I have no idea. Like, again, the Nuggets, you can't give them 10 points. Yeah, you saw when that happened before, where they got hammered. Like, it's absolutely Hulk smashed, getting all those points, 11 or 12 in that one game, which I think was, game number 2? I want to say where they got killed. 80% of the tickets, again, coming in on the Denver Nuggets, 10.5. This game goes to multiple ways for me. OKC wins, but doesn't cover. The Denver Nuggets win and obviously cover, or OKC by 35 tonight. Like, I don't have a feeling on this. I really don't.
I feel like at times I am watching a different series than everyone else. Usually, though, if I say that, I say it angrily and almost like, I'm sitting atop my high chair and I don't know what's wrong with everyone.
Yeah.
It might be me. It might be me who is wrong. But, Donnie, I watched these games and I legitimately think that the Thunder should have swept this team. I watch these games and I think to myself, OKC is just way better.
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic has now had 3 consecutive games of under 40% shooting from the field. And I think there's a lot of people who feel as if the conversation is, well, if Jokic just starts playing well, okay, sure. But everybody else for Denver keeps stepping up in a way. Aaron Gordon is shooting 50% from 3. Like, Michael Porter Jr.'s shoulder doesn't work. He had a game where he was like 5 of 6 from beyond the arc.
Yeah.
To me, the world where Jokic tonight, Donnie, like so here's maybe the best way I can describe to people how I feel about this series. If you tell me that Jokic goes out there tonight, 35 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, people will go, whoo, Denver up 3-2. And I would go, yeah, I'm still laying it. I have expected the Thunder to win every single one of these games by double digits. Now, they've only done that once, where they won by 1 billion. But I just think the way they are disrupting Jokic, Denver cannot survive with him playing like this.
But tonight, what's one angle, Kevin, that you should be playing tonight in this game? Is there one angle?
Is it your guy?
No, it is. It is. Like when you hear me say I have no idea how this game is going to go, there's only one guy that's bulletproof in this game. Whether or not it's a good game, it's certainly up to how well did he play? He still played almost 30 minutes in his last game and stunk up the joint, but still took like 12 shots. Like, it's Russell Westbrook. Like, I try to explain it to people. Like, they'll lose by 30, he gets 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They'll win by 30, he gets 30 minutes. Those are the guys I like to factor on when I don't have a true feel for the game itself. He's like, blowouts ruin everything, even from like the winning side team. It doesn't matter. Like, he plays no matter what, and we certainly be energized. And the fact that it's in OKC again, I just love those angles. Like, he needs to turn up in that building because he just says, you know what? Used to be my domain. Let me make it again. 10.5, Kevin, plus 102 is his prop. No doubt in my mind, my boy Westbrook gets over 11 points here. How about that? One segment to go before we shut it down on the Tuesday. It's Moneyline.
We don't care what your high school girlfriend told you. You are a winner.
Or at least you will be if you keep it here.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
Football full circle.
The thought that they're going to make the playoffs and actually win a playoff game. They haven't won a playoff game since 2000. That is the longest drought in the NFL, third longest in the four major sports. And yet the Dolphins have the longest drought in the NFL and the third longest in all the four major sports. That's how bad that franchise has been.
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. If you want to be an alpha,
you've got to get the winning edge.
It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory
with the winning edge.
You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Big baseball card today, too. Full slate on a Tuesday. Good stuff. A lot of rain, though, in the Northeast, which could hamper a couple things, which always stinks.
Oh.
Yeah. Yesterday, not a good day here. Not a good day. Lost money on some team totals. Did some RBI stuff behind the scenes, won a little bit of money, but the numbers did not work yesterday. Now, here's the best thing about it, too. So on the
Wait, can I interject
Moneyline,
with a quick question?
Sure.
So behind the scenes RBIs.
Yes.
How many guys, how many home runs?
It's funny, I think 3 home runs out of how many RBIs? Because here's what I've been doing behind the scenes, Kevin, which you'll like this at least. I'm betting 1 and 2 RBIs on every guy I take. Because the chances of you just getting 1, 6-1, 7-1, and I got 4 of those last night. But I still only made 15 total dollars. Betting light, but 15 total bucks. But yes, the nightcap was Cal Raleigh and Jorge Polanco going up against the Yanks. They scored 5 runs. Jack. It makes me laugh. Yeah, of course that's, exactly the way it went down. But yesterday, I do a quick handicap on the morning show. Ben and we'll go over maybe 2 or 3 sections, or 2 or 3 segments and pick out maybe 7 or 8 games. And it's quick thoughts, quick handicap. So yesterday, I'm just trying to bring up the notifications from yesterday that I had on those games. Doesn't look like, I don't know why it's not coming up. Let me just scroll down quickly. Well, anyway, let's just say there were 4 clipped things that came out of the early line yesterday. Here they are. Ready for this, Kevin? Which I love the Red Sox team total yesterday. But on the show, I'm not really in depth to it. So it's okay, let me get a quick overview. Hell yeah. So we clip it up, put it up. Yeah, Donnie says it should be over 8.5 runs. Tigers do that by themselves. Red Sox get 2 runs. So that was a winner, but my handicap card at night was a loser because I had the Reds over 4.5 runs. So next up, which I really like this card, and I didn't bet it because I don't really like unders per se. You know what? Phillies Cardinals, wind's blowing out yesterday in Philadelphia, but the pitching matchup says under 8.5 runs. I take, game ends up 3-2. That's a winner. Next one up was the Mets, who needed a comeback but got the victory at a -142 price, right? And the other one was, I really like the Royals. They should be able to hit going up against Kansas City. They easily go over the 3.5. That's a 4-0 5-minute handicap in the morning. And then my extended plays in the afternoon, I got beat on, went 0-3 in team totals. That's the stuff I laugh at sometimes because, the generalities of handicapping are one thing, but pressing the button on certain ones, I win fractions on the ones I give out in the morning. And then my full card at night gets hit over the head. And then behind the scenes, I'm not putting out the props, but I still won on those. But when I looked at the slate, I'm like, ooh, this checks out really well. I'm like, how do the Red Sox have 1 run after 7 innings at the worst pitcher on the card? And of course, no, just take the over in the game itself. It won easy. But no, I lost money, as it turns out, on that game with the team total.
I still think that, and I know it is so difficult, but from our time going through your numbers, that you are better off either being a 2 home or a home run or a 2 RBI, or a 4+ hit run RBI, whatever it is. I just think the way you are able to break down those numbers more often than not lend themselves to explosive outcomes. And I think if we're just kind of calling it, Donnie, I think a lot of the way that you were betting the NFL, and I know you were having success, was dummy down, 3-leg, make money, profit, move on.
Yes.
But I think that is, I don't think that gets the most out of what you have at your disposal baseball-wise. Now, better than me because you have all of that stuff, right there in front of you. Yeah. But you and I have been laughing for years now about how many of your guys hit runs. I just
level up every night.
I know you did that though, right? Didn't you do it once for you gave yourself a week or two maybe where you bet 9 guys to homer a night?
Yes. It was mixed with. It's so hard to peg down a home run, but the more you bet some of these, it's not all or nothing because there have been nights where it's hey, I have 9 RBI guys, 7 of the 9 got RBI, only 1 got 2 RBI. I was why did you should just got smart. But so many nights it's because again the price points are crazy. There were some games last night +1.8, and you'll love this one too. By the way, I had Dansby Swanson last night, Kevin. And he ended up hitting a 2-run home run. So I get the buzz from Bet365. All right, you hit the 1 RBI. I'm like, it's interesting. Maybe it didn't grade the 2 yet. Well, I just didn't put in a Dansby Swanson 2. The only guy of the night I didn't hit 2 by accident was an 8 of a +650 or 750 that didn't hit. I was like that's just hilarious to me at this point. But I do find myself, I think it makes a lot of sense because getting priced out of, Kevin, the hits, runs, and RBI market, it used to be to start the season, you can get 3 really good players at a +110. Now you get 3 really good players a -125. Used to be 2 good players, you might be able to get a -125 to -150. Those markets are gone. So I'm trying to find some increased advantages, and maybe it just is the 2 RBI market. For JP behind the wheels of steel, Donnie Rightside, and Kevin Walsh, thanks for tuning in to Moneyline. See you tomorrow.
life worth living. Actionable insights, analysis, odds, and expert perspective on sports gaming.
The Hawks and then the Spurs again in a pick they got from Atlanta. Tonight, the Cavaliers play host to the Pacers. It's Game 5. Cleveland, the top seed in the Eastern Conference, down 3-1 in the series. In Oklahoma City, it's the Thunder and Nuggets Game 5. That series tied at 2-2. The full NFL schedule is due to be released on Wednesday, but the latest reveal has the Eagles hosting the Bears on Black Friday. The Eagles open the schedule Thursday, September the 4th against the Cowboys. In Week 16, the Eagles will take on the Commanders while the Packers will face the Bears. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
It's Macy's Friends and Family Sale. Hurry in for insider deals on must-have spring styles from your favorite brands, like an extra 30% off new dresses, handbags, and accessories from Karl Lagerfeld Paris, Donna Karan New York, Avec La Vie, and more. Plus, get 15% off fragrances, beauty, and skincare, too. It's not only the best time to shop for yourself, it's also the best time to shop early for Mother's Day. Don't miss Friends and Family starting tomorrow at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
If you want to be an alpha,
you've got to get the winning edge.
It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory
with the winning edge.
You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on this Tuesday, it is Football Full Circle. That is FFC, all a part of the SportsGrid Radio Network and Sirius XM Channel 159. He is the mastermind of the pigskin. That is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. It's a big week in media. Everybody unveiling their big plans for a new year. And if you have football rights on your television, you want people to know about it. It is schedule release week in the National Football League, and we are learning some marquee matchup kick times, not just in the NFL, but in college football as well. We break it all down here on this Tuesday, Joe, on Football Full Circle.
Yeah, well, we talked about the week 1 matchup yesterday with Dallas and Philadelphia, and we're starting to get some overseas games that have been mentioned, as it relates to potentially Brazil. But the college football slate, Ben, in terms of week 1 and even week 0 are dynamic games. They will definitely dictate the college football playoff, top 10 rankings. We already know that the big noon kickoff is Texas and Ohio State. That's a rematch of the college football semifinal playoff game. So, those games are really something to look forward to. And even week 1 in the NFL, once they unveil the full schedule, we'll have a better understanding about which potential teams could go over or under their win total.
No doubt about it. And we will know the entirety of the schedule for all 32 NFL teams come tomorrow night on this Tuesday. As we saw yesterday, some big matchups, some primetime matchups, some marquee games being released over these next few days, including all 7 of our full international slate around the National Football League in 2025. We'll detail those for you here on this Tuesday. And a couple of big games, Joe, released yesterday as well. Again, when we were live here on Football Full Circle to kick off a new week, we knew how the 2025 NFL season would debut on Thursday, September 4th at the home of the reigning Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. 114 days away from now, the Eagles and the Cowboys to start the 2025 NFL campaign. But a bunch of Eagles in prime time, a bunch of Eagles in those marquee matchups, as we have always come to expect for a reigning Super Bowl champ, as we have learned. The Eagles will host the Bears in Philly on the day after Turkey Day, that being Black Friday. And how about a Christmas Day nightcap the NFL going to play 3 Christmas games once again, and probably for the rest of eternity. The Chiefs and the Broncos in Arrowhead in KC, Mo. That will be our Christmas game in prime time as well, Joe.
Yeah, and you hope that it plays out the way it did last time, in last year, where it went right down to the final, field goal, and that's where, Kansas City prevailed. They won that matchup by 2 points in Arrowhead, and Denver's an up-and-coming team, especially in terms of, challenging for not just a playoff, but maybe an outside shot at the AFC West. So you want to see Bo Nix, you want to see Sean Payton in prime time, and anytime you get a divisional matchup, as long as both teams are over 500, should be a very good type of night for Christmas night. Last year, the game against, Green Bay and Miami was absolutely pathetic. Dolphins laid an egg and they got blown out. It was terrible. Terrible. They got blown out in that matchup.
They did. As they often do when they are booked as an underdog, which could be the story for Miami more often this year. We'll talk about the Finns in the first ever Spanish NFL game. That means played in Spain in Madrid. The Dolphins will take on the Commanders. And it might sound silly for us to tell you that the Chiefs are a 4.5-point favorite in the opening number with a total of 44 in a hook for that Christmas Day matchup against the Denver Broncos. What is it going to matter right now for what the line is come week 17 in late December? I would also agree. It's probably going to look very different at that time. But if it's not, then I think it gives you an idea, Joe, of where these teams are trending entering 2025. These early lines associated with the kickoff times being announced are fun to look at because it's an indication of what the odds makers expect for these teams entering a new year. Can the Broncos duplicate the success they had with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix and a second-year head coach in Sean Payton, paying it over to 2025? Where do the Chiefs fall right now? As we shared often yesterday, KC not going to be a reigning Super Bowl champ for the first time since the beginning of the 2022 season. However, KC has still won the AFC 3 consecutive years, but does not have the best price to win the AFC championship at this moment. In fact, a $50 behind 2 teams in Baltimore and Buffalo that has proven very little when it comes to knocking off the Chiefs in those playoff situations. So, Joe, to get an idea of a 4.5-point spread in Arrowhead in favor of KC against their divisional rival in the Denver Broncos probably goes to show you, which is what you were mentioning yesterday. The Chiefs have won the AFC West 9 seasons in a row, but the gap maybe not nearly as wide as it has been in the past few years.
No, they're starting to, close the gap. And the teams like, Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers with Herbert and obviously Peyton and Bo Nix are looking, to potentially steal the division. And you think about the 2 games on the road for both of those teams, the Chargers and Broncos lost by a total of 4 points. They pushed the Chiefs to the limit. And when you just look at the 4.5 total compared to the Eagles line, right? Eagles are a full touchdown against Dak Prescott and the new addition to George Pickens with CD Lamb. And here you have Denver, looking like they're potentially, a dark horse. And they could, right now, if there's no major injury, I would take the 4.5. Why not? Right? The total is something that 44.5. I wouldn't suggest taking that. But I would take the 4.5 because I don't, as long as there's no major injury, you expect Denver to be within contention. It might even be shorter than that come Christmas night. Might be a field goal or even less than a field goal at that point.
Right. We have no idea where that line is going to stand for week number 17, of course, but we did have these 3 teams that we are mentioning in the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs all make the playoffs out of the AFC West, all finish with double-digit victories. And, Joe, the win total for Denver this year, 9.5. The under, a slight bit of juice at -135, but around that double-digit win marker for Denver to go back to the postseason. The Chargers also at 9.5 after a very successful debut year under the guidance of Jim Harbaugh. 11-6 for LA a season ago, a very disappointing result in that opening round playoff game in Houston against the Texans, but still a lot of optimism entering 2025. 9.5, the win total for the Bolts as well. The under a slight bit of juice. LA, a part of the international slate, as we have already learned, are 7 games internationally for 2025 in the National Football League. They will be the home team in that Sao Paulo opener, the Brazilian game on that first Friday of the year, Friday, September 5th, following the debut, of course, the night prior, which is interesting, Joe, because the Chargers firmly in that game in Brazil. We await who the opponent is for tomorrow. A lot of rumored speculation. That is also probably going to be a divisional matchup against Kansas City.
Yeah, it could be the Raiders or Kansas City. You don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But I think, the Chargers are another team that are looking to take the next step. And you think about the totals, right? 9.5 for Denver, 9.5 for LA. I mean, there's really no margin of error. Are all 3 of these teams going to just beat up on each other? They're all going to be 3-3 potentially within the division and win their, out of divisional games to get to 10 or 11 wins. That's what you're hoping on if you're banging the 9.5 and 9.5 on the Chargers and Broncos. I only think one of them are going to make it, Ben.
Yeah, it is interesting, Joe, and the Chiefs have been the dominant team in the AFC West, minus 115 to win that divisional crown for a 10th consecutive year. But last offseason, that was closer to a minus 240 number. More on FFC coming your way next.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid, and we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that vibe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. American-Israeli hostage Eden Alexander, held captive by Hamas in Gaza since October 7, 2023, was released on Monday after successful negotiations between the U.S. and the terrorist organization. The International Committee of the Red Cross transferred the 21-year-old from Gaza to Israeli authorities. The U.S. and China issued a joint statement Monday announcing an agreement to cut reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. U.S. and Chinese representatives convened for talks in Geneva, Switzerland over the weekend. The U.S. and China will maintain 10% reciprocal tariffs as part of the agreement. The Trump administration welcomed a group of 49 white South Africans as refugees, saying they face discrimination and violence at home. The country has strongly denied these allegations. President Trump said that in post-apartheid South Africa, white farmers are being killed, and he plans to address the issue with South American leadership next week. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Find what you love what you find. A total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
There's something you should know and always remember.
SportsGrid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, schedule release week around the National Football League. Plenty of marquee matchups to bring to you. And we don't only know the date and times these marquee games are being played, but the odds makers have set the early lines. Not necessarily giving you a best bet or a full game breakdown, but it does give us an indication of what is expected for these NFL teams this upcoming season in 2025. A lot of Eagles in prime time, Joe. In that season debut, they're a 6.5-point favorite against their bitter divisional rivals in the Dallas Cowboys. We also learned Philly will host the Chicago Bears year number 1 under Ben Johnson, year number 2 with Caleb Williams at the quarterback spot. That Black Friday game following Thanksgiving. The Eagles also a hefty home favorite early in that one, laying near a touchdown at 6.5 points. Again, speaks to the strength of the reigning Super Bowl champs in Philadelphia. But, Joe, it's also interesting to get that picture on Caleb and the Bears. A lot expected, despite having a rookie head man in the Windy City in Ben Johnson.
Yeah, and he's calling out everybody in the division, calling out Green Bay, calling out Minnesota, and obviously his former team. We'll see if he can live up to expectations, right? He does have running back talent now. He does have wide receiver talent, and he has a quarterback that he has to develop to potentially be an all-pro or expected to really have a trajectory like Jaden Daniels did in year number 1. Could he do that? Because, again, you look at the 8.5 win total. This is a tough division, and you're calling out teams that have been there and coaches that have coached. You look at last year in Minnesota and just O'Connell. They won 14 games with Sam Darnold. Detroit's there. They're the front runners to win it yet again. Green Bay, as long as they're healthy, they're a 9.5, 10-win football team. So, really, what does that lead for Ben Johnson? They really have to hit the ground running. And this was a team last year that started 4-2 and fell off a cliff. So we'll see, Ben, because if there is a slow start, again, I'm going to say it again. I think this is the one team, a lot of pressure, a lot of expectation in back-to-back years. They limp out of the start. They could be potentially under 500. I'm still selling them. I need to see it before I believe it in Chicago.
Listen, I think that's very fair, Joe, because there is the idea of optimism, but it's almost a little bit unique. Last year in Caleb's rookie campaign, the Bears had a higher win total than that of right now entering his sophomore season with a bright young head coach, but who does not have a proven track record just yet as the head man of an organization in Ben Johnson. 8.5 was the win total for Chicago entering 2025. The over heavily juiced at -150. They finished 5-12, and Caleb Williams certainly took his rookie lumps. The offensive line, abysmal. His coach, an idiot. That's why there has been a change in that situation. But again, Joe, at 8.5 right now for Chicago, the underjuiced at -135. Slightly less expectations for Williams in his second year than even his rookie campaign. I think there's an idea, Joe, that Minnesota's probably not a 14-win football team once again. What if J.J. McCarthy is really good? What if he lives up to the billing of a top 10 pick? What if his head coach and Kevin O'Connell, who unlocked Sam Darnold, can do the same with McCarthy this year as well in 2025? 8.5 the win total for Minnesota. Slight juice on the over. The Packers going to be a contender after 11 wins a season ago. Same for the Detroit Lions, whose win total stands at 10.5. We expect some regression because of the change of coordinators. Ben Johnson, of course, the head coach in Chicago. Aaron Glenn, the new head man of the New York Jets, but still probably going to be a double-digit win football team. The NFC North is absolutely stacked. Following a year, this division was absolutely stacked. Speaking of the NFC North, Joe, another announcement yesterday, a marquee Saturday, week number 16, Saturday, December 20th. The Eagles will take on the Commanders in an NFC East divisional rivalry, and the Bears will take on the Packers inside Soldier Field, hosting Green Bay. Those are two games that we have on Saturday, December 20th, that will coincide, of course, for a great day of football, our triple header in the opening round of the 2025 college football playoff as well.
Yeah, and you think about, the Bears, right, and how bad they've been against Green Bay, and they beat them last year, right? That was the one game in Soldier Field. Yeah. They won that matchup 20-19 because they blocked a field goal at the end of the game. So, this is an opportunity where you look at the Saturday matchup. If they can potentially go toe-to-toe with Green Bay, then, yeah, they're going to get potentially over that 8.5 win total, and that's an important gauge for Chicago, right? When you start winning games, that people and fans and experts don't expect you to win. That's great in year number one with Ben Johnson. Can Caleb live up to that expectation? He's been battle tested, showed great signs at the end of the year where he stood in the pocket and made some plays. If he can elevate, they have an opportunity. But again, it's going to come down to that revamped offensive line. That offensive line will make or break that 8.5 win total, Ben.
And they did a great job revamping the interior of that O-line, namely Joe Thuney, in a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs, added a center in free agency. His name escapes me at the moment. We will track that down. But, Joe, everybody in the NFC North, a win total of at least 8.5. The Bears have the juice on the under, slight juice on the over for the Vikings, 9.5 the win total for the Packers, a little bit more juice to the under than the over. Same story for the Lions, juice on the under of a win total at 10.5. This is going to be a stacked division, we anticipate, once again in the NFC North. It is interesting, Joe, because those games are set. We know date and time for both the Eagles and Commanders, Packers and the Bears on that Saturday, December 20th, in our third to final week of the NFL regular season in 2025. And yet, because they are not the marquee standalone primetime games, they're just another week in the National Football League, albeit on a Saturday instead of a Sunday. Lines are not set just yet. But the lines that are set, season debut, Black Friday, Christmas Day at night in Kansas City, and our international games as well. All 7 international games for the 2025 NFL campaign were released earlier today. We break them down and detail them for you up next.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1958, Stan Musial is the 8th Major League player to get 3,000 hits.
Juan Hernandez into left field. Hit number 3,000. A run is scored. Musial ran first.
Stan the Man had a .331 career average and hit 475 home runs for the Cards. Musial never struck out more than 46 times in a season. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Flying construction robots, coming soon to a building site near you. Swiss researchers have found that precision flying construction robot drones, similar technology to that used to create those beautiful synchronized aerial displays, can be used to precisely position large objects, assisting construction workers at great heights. Synchronized drone swarms autonomously constructing entire buildings in remote locations, hazardous conditions, even cutting down on construction accidents. Ouch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage tonight.
What do you think about the Cavs and the Pacers right now? The Cavs got injury problems. The Pacers are up 2-0. We might be looking at a Pacers-Knicks conference final, bro.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Okay, shades of Dale Davis and
Reggie
Rick
Miller.
Smith.
And, oh, yeah, old school. Detlef Schrempf.
I'm rooting for the Pacers right now.
It's Sports Rage tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC, the 7-game international slate for the 2025 NFL season, fully released on this Tuesday morning. except for one team playing in Brazil. That will be fully released tomorrow. We will talk about that in just a matter of moments. But Lisi Guy, all 7 games released, the most international games that we will see in one season in NFL history, in 5 different locations: Sao Paulo, Brazil; Dublin, Ireland; Berlin, Germany; Madrid, Spain; and then, of course, 3 games over across the pond in London. More NFL history as a part of our international slate this year in the National Football League that I'm not sure the Minnesota Vikings really want to be a part of making in those history books, and yet they are. The Vikings will become the first team in NFL history to play back-to-back international games on 2 consecutive weekends in 2 different cities. First, that final weekend in September, they will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers as the NFL heads to Dublin. And then the following weekend, opening Sunday of October, they will take on the Browns in London. That's a lot of international action overseas for Minnesota.
Yeah, and it's going to affect their win total, right? So when you look at the 8.5 win total, with the travel, the logistics, are they going to, have any type of jet lag when they do come back? Layoffs, we've seen this obviously with Jacksonville, but not going, in terms of 2 different cities. They stayed in the same spot and played back-to-back games. So, that puts a lot of stress on the team, right? We talk about creatures of habit. We talk about getting acclimated to certain surroundings. And these athletes play at an elite level. This could affect them, especially if you're looking right now at that 8.5 win total. You're saying, how are they attacking an 8.5 win total knowing that they have a second-year quarterback that hasn't made a start? And then on top of it, they're playing 2 international games the first time in NFL history, and we're expecting them to not miss a beat and just be at least a 9-8 football team. That's a tough ask, Ben. As good as J.J. McCarthy might be or that team, I would sell that number right now.
The only good thing, Joe, about making history, because if you were to ask the Vikings players, their staff, their coaches right now, hey, are you thrilled about being the novel team that will embark on something no other NFL team ever has, and that's playing back-to-back international games, being away from your families, being away from your homes, being away from your beds for a 2-week run in Dublin and in London? I think the Vikings would probably say, no, we don't think it's all that cool or notable like the NFL is trying to pitch. But here's the redeeming thing, and here's probably the bargaining chip in the give and take the NFL schedule makers have with the Vikings organization and its ownership group. Both of those games, the Vikings will be the designated road team. So you take 2 games away from having to travel to an actual home stadium of your opponent. You're playing neutrally in Dublin and in London, and you do not lose a home game. The Steelers, who will be the home team in Dublin, the Browns, who will be the home team in London, they lose a home game they would otherwise play at Acrisure Stadium or in front of the Dog Pound. That's the only good thing, Joe. So the Vikings are not losing a home game despite playing 2 international games that, to your point, you have to consider when you are looking to bet that win total of 8.5, either to the over or the under.
Right, and you're better to play them on a neutral field than obviously going to Pittsburgh and going to the Dog Pound. So they have an opportunity. But again, it's still, you never say never. It's the NFL, right? As bad as the Browns were last year, they still beat the Steelers at the end of the regular season with a backup in Jameis Winston in the snow, right? So anything could happen in terms of the NFL. It doesn't matter. You got to bring your A game each and every week. And for much of the last year, Minnesota did that with Sam Darnold. But again, there's a lot of pressure on Kevin O'Connell. He can get this team to at least 10 or 11 wins. He's a fantastic coach, because think about that. Kirk Cousins, the last year with Sam Darnold, and now with J.J. McCarthy, you really would say O'Connell is one of the better quarterbacks, in terms of head coaches elevating play. So we'll see if he could do it. I'd say right now I'm selling that number. But only time will tell. We'll see if they can get there.
Yeah, he has been really good, Joe. He has been very, very good in Minnesota. The rest of the international slate coming your way on the other side of the break. The Chargers are playing in the Brazilian opener in Sao Paulo. who might be that rumored opponent. We'll talk about the 3 games in London and the NFL making international history with a game in Berlin and a game for the first time ever in Madrid. Plenty more on FFC next.
The Winning Edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. In Monday's NBA playoff action, the Timberwolves beat Golden State 117-110 to take a commanding 3-1 series lead, 30 points for Anthony Edwards. The Knicks took a 3-1 lead over the Celtics at Madison Square Garden, 121-113 the final. Jason Tatum had 42 points in the loss for Boston. The star had to be carried off the court late in the fourth quarter after suffering a non-contact lower leg injury. MRI results await. Tonight, the Cavaliers play host to the Pacers. It's Game 5. Cleveland, the top seed in the Eastern Conference, down 3-1 in the series. In Oklahoma City, it's the Thunder and Nuggets Game 5. That series tied at 2-2. The full NFL schedule is due to be released on Wednesday, but the latest reveal has the Eagles hosting the Bears on Black Friday. The Eagles open the schedule Thursday, September the 4th against the Cowboys. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love, love what you find. A total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
You're listening to SportsGrid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Schedule release week around the NFL and the international slate. All 7 games out in full on this Tuesday morning. Joe, we talked about the Vikings having to play back-to-back weeks overseas in Dublin and in London. First team in NFL history to play 2 consecutive weeks abroad, but in 2 different locales. We have seen the Jaguars play in London in back-to-back weeks each of the past 2 years. Of course, the Jags are going to be the home team in one of our 3 games in London. That comes on Sunday, October 19th. Hosting the LA Rams. The Sunday prior to that, our second of 3 London games. It's the Broncos and the Jets over in Tottenham Stadium, and we shared the Vikings and the Browns as well. In Berlin, Joe, it'll be the Falcons and the Colts on Sunday, November 9th, and the NFL making more international history. The Commanders and the Dolphins, Sunday, November 16th. First ever game played in Madrid. It'll be the Commanders and the Finns in that one. The lines are out for our international games, by the way. The Vikings, 2.5-point favorite in the game in Dublin against the Steelers. Full touchdown favorite in the game in London the week following against the Browns. Broncos, nearly a touchdown favorite against the Jets in London. Rams, a 4.5-point favorite against the Jags in London. The Falcons, a 1.5, ever so slight favorite against the Colts in Berlin. That one intriguing to me. And the Commanders, just a 2.5-point favorite against Miami in Madrid. Joe, of those games, maybe the early lines as we project them, which matchup stands out most to you?
Oh, it's 2. So the last one, Commanders minus the 2.5 over the Dolphins. I'm not big on the Dolphins this year. Again, I think McDaniel will be the first. It doesn't matter. I got to look at it objectively. You know, I believe more in Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn and that young organization that I do, McDaniel, Tua, and Tyreek Hill. Just it's the bottom line. Until that defense can step up, you can't buy into them in terms of a big matchup. That's the favorite that I like. The dog, I'm telling you right now, the second game for Minnesota to lay a touchdown on a neutral field, you know what? That first game is going to obviously be very physical, no matter how good or bad the Steelers are. It's Mike Tomlin, it's the Steelers, right? They bring it each and every week. Then you follow that up, laying a full touchdown to the Browns. I'm going to take that. I would take the 7 right now, no matter who the quarterback is. That's a tough ask.
I love that. I love your confidence in the Browns for 2025.
I'm just saying, that's a tough ask. 7 points on the road, on the neutral field?
Completely agree. I guess you would think the Vikings might have the benefit from adjusting the body clocks to being in Dublin, then in London, but also maybe staying out there. Are they homesick? Is it a weird week, weird logistics, all of that stuff that goes into it. I also think it does show the Browns and the Giants have the 2 worst win totals around the NFL this year, both now updated at 5.5, the under the hefty juice at -140. I am not as optimistic about Cleveland as my co-host Joe Lisi is because of the quarterback situation and because I'm not exactly sure what the actual plan in place is for the Browns in 2025 and beyond. So to see it as a touchdown feels fitting, although I'm not sure I would lay a touchdown with the Vikings right here, right now. I think, Joe, one of the ones that really stands out to me, the Rams and the Jags. Going to be a really good game. Liam Cohen, rookie head coach in Duval County. LA makes the long trip to London to take on Jacksonville. The Jaguars, of course, much more comfortable over in that spot. Again, this is the middle of October. I believe that's week 6 or week 7. The Rams are going to be a really good team, we expect, this year. So if the Rams are 5-1 entering that game or 4-2 entering that game, I wonder what the line is looking like. Is Jacksonville living up to the win total they have set for this year at 8.5? That's a compelling game with a telling line right here, right now, that I wonder how different it looks by the time we get to the middle of October in quite some time from now.
Yeah, it's a great, point. When the Jags went, to London last year, they were dead man walking, right? When you just look at that team, Doug Peterson was expected to potentially be fired right after that trip, and he wasn't, right? Yeah. So we'll see what they bring this year. I will say this, forget the records. I love the total, and I don't even know what it is right now, that total to me with Trevor Lawrence, yeah, give me the total. I would say 46. Oh, that's perfect. I was going to say 46.5, 47. Yeah. That I think that game blows through. I just don't see. I know they have running backs, Tank Bigsby, Etienne, and obviously, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. But that, to me, is a light number. 46.5. That game could blow into the 50s, man.
It's interesting to see what Jacksonville will do, right? Travis Hunter has been off to a great start as a rookie, showing you that he is a kind young man off the football field, graduated from Colorado, was a 2-time academic All-American, despite being a first-team All-American defensively and a second-team All-American offensively last year on the football field. There should be some optimism. There should be some good vibes right now in Duval County, and the win total is 8.5. We'll see. It really focuses for me, Joe, on one quarterback, one player, Trevor Lawrence. Can Liam Cohen, the offensive mind he is and is shown to be, can he reinvigorate the career of Lawrence now in year number 5? Trevor Lawrence was paid as such last offseason, had a difficult year due to injury, which has not really been the case for Trevor Lawrence throughout his football playing career. At any level, we'll see what is to come for Jacksonville in 2025. And Lisi, I do think the game that you mentioned, laying the 2.5 with the Commanders, you are not optimistic about your Fins entering 2025. I would have to agree for that game in Madrid. And if the Dolphins start to see themselves as an underdog more frequently this season in year number 4 under Mike McDaniel, that's a bad recipe, both for Miami this season and maybe McDaniel's future in South Florida. Why? Because in the first 3 years under McDaniel, dating back to the 2022 NFL season, The Dolphins, when booked as a favorite, 23-7 straight up. Very, very good. As an underdog, 5-18 outright. Very, very bad. Basically, what that means in layman's terms, when Miami is playing a bad team, they win. When they are playing a good team, they get beat bad. They can't beat the best, and they beat up on the worst. Not a recipe for being a playoff contender or even trying to win that first playoff game since the year 2000.
Yeah, and I'll dummy it down even more. When Mike McDaniel's plan doesn't work from the get-go, he doesn't win football games. And I'll bring one game in particular. Even though it was a backup, Tyler Huntley, they got abused by the Tennessee Titans on that primetime matchup. Yeah. He couldn't get the football or find ways to get it to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in that type of situation. Just showed and proved how bad of a football coach he was. And if it continues this year, I'm telling you, he's put the odds out. He's the first coach to be fired. If not, they're making a huge mistake. They're not going to get anywhere, especially getting to a playoff run with Mike McDaniel at the helm. I'm sorry.
They have not won a playoff game in Miami since 2000, now 2.5 decades ago. They reached the postseason in McDaniel's first 2 years leading the Dolphins in 2022 and 23, but of course a disappointing 2024 where the injuries to Tua Tagovailoa were a huge component of it. But Joe, in a year we saw a lot of injuries to quarterbacks, and other widely regarded head coaches on the offensive side figure something out. McDaniel was really unable to do that offensively for his Fins. Again, we shall see how the year moves forward for Miami. The win total for the Fins entering 2025, as I track it down, is 8.5, but the under substantial juice at -150. If Miami is 8-9, 7-10, does that spell it after a 3-year run in South Florida for Mike McDaniel? We shall see. We'll talk some college football kick times as we get you ready for week number 1 at the end of August. Up next.
We're not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie. Just saying. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Wendy's. The Trump administration welcomed a group of 49 white South Africans as refugees, saying they face discrimination and violence at home. The country has strongly denied these allegations. President Trump said that in post-apartheid South Africa, white farmers are being killed, and he plans to address the issue with South American leadership next week. American-Israeli hostage Eden Alexander, held captive by Hamas in Gaza since October 7, 2023, was released on Monday after successful negotiations between the U.S. and the terrorist organization. The International Committee of the Red Cross transferred the 21-year-old from Gaza to Israeli authorities. The U.S. and China issued a joint statement Monday announcing an agreement to cut reciprocal tariffs for 90 days. U.S. and Chinese representatives convened for talks in Geneva, Switzerland over the weekend. The U.S. and China will maintain 10% reciprocal tariffs as part of the agreement. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said, but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM?
Things have progressed.
Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called
the deposit notification.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Not just a scheduled release week in the National Football League, but the media upfronts all week long for your biggest television networks here in the States. We've got some marquee college football game times being announced as well, as everything really in the sports calendar circulates around football. So, Lacey Guy, let's build up some excitement for CFB in 2025. You're probably seeing it this week. Spring transfer portal has been closed now for about a week and a half. You can no longer enter the portal. Teams can still land commitments from players and new additions to the roster as they get ready for the school year to come to a close and to get back on campus for summer workouts and then into fall camp. We're really just about 2 months away, Joe, as crazy as it sounds, from media days around the country in the middle of July. So this week, you're seeing a lot of post-spring ball top 25s and post-spring ball power rankings via conferences. Let's get you ready for some college football, my friend. Some SEC, ACC games and their times and dates announced for the opening full weekend of the college football season. Thursday, we're 100 days away from the start of 2025. That would be week 0, Saturday, August 23rd, but a little bit more than 108 days away from the start of week number 1. Some really good games on Saturday, August 30th. We learned yesterday that Ohio State is going to take on Texas, but it's a game that will be on Fox. As Lacey said earlier, a rematch, of course, of the college football playoff semifinal in which Jack Sawyer cemented his long-standing legacy in Columbus. The Strip sacked and taken it 92 yards the other way for the Buckeyes en route to winning a national championship. Joe, that's going to be a top 5 tilt. It is going to be a huge game. It is going to be on Fox. Of course, the natural consideration now for the marquee matchup on Fox is big noon kickoff. But no time has officially been set for that week 1 opener in the shoe, Saturday, August 30th. And I think that is notable because normally Fox, who believes in big noon kickoff, whether you agree or disagree, Fox loves it. They would try to build all the positive momentum and PR to be like, noon Eastern, right away, first full Saturday of the college football season. Let's deliver this big marquee matchup to you. It was not a part of the official announcement that Ohio State and Texas will be carried on Fox.
Yeah, and let me just say this. As a college football purist, I hate night games in college football. I can't stand them. Give me every game at 12 and 3:30 and sprinkle in a 4:30 or a 5 o'clock start, and I'm good to go. I like to see the shadows. I like to see, the grass. I hate domes. But that being said, this game, I would say, is 50-50. I think they would put it on big noon kickoff. They did have Alabama, Texas a couple of years ago with Bryce Young that played in that type of time slot. Everybody was up in arms for the Texas faithful to play a game at noon. I think they might go deep, though. In Columbus and in this game, in the Horseshoe, they'll probably go 8 o'clock. I think it's going to be, I think you would get probably, it's tough. That's so tough because that's Labor Day weekend, right? Labor Day weekend, and typically, people are away. You would think that probably 8 o'clock would garner a little bit more attention as opposed to 12 o'clock because people are at the beach.
Yeah, I really not disagree with you, Joe. I get what you mean with new games. I love primetime games. I love those night games. They've always felt very, very special to me. Some people made the point when you look at what Fox more than likely has on its air that Saturday, they've got to deal with Major League Baseball for Saturday Night Baseball America, whatever they brand that primetime game as. That often first pitch is around 7:30, 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if they would move things around to make that a 7:30 p.m. Eastern time game on that Saturday. The great thing about it, though, Joe, regardless of kick time, we've got these odds already out on the FanDuel Sportsbook. The Buckeyes, a 3.5-point home favorite against the Longhorns, and the over-under stands at 51.5 for that CFP semifinal rematch. And this is a matchup, Joe, more than likely between the number 1 ranked team in the preseason poll, probably the reigning national champ in Ohio State, and a Texas team that is not outside of the top 3, we would assume. And from the odds perspective, the co-favorites right now to win this upcoming season's national championship, the Buckeyes 6-1, the Longhorns 6-1. You want a marquee matchup from the very start in college football this year? Whatever time of day it is, you got it in Columbus.
Yeah, it's, I get the 3 points, defending national champs, but there are so many question marks surrounding this team, right? Obviously, Will Howard gets drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, now both playing in the NFL. You lose defensive talent as well. Oh, by the way, you lose your defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, to the Penn State and Indy Lions, right? I understand there's a veteran coming in there, and we all know it's potentially a similar scheme, but this is a tough ask playing at home, with right now a first-year starter. I mean, think about that. And you're going up against potentially the Heisman frontrunner in Arch Manning and Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. This is a very difficult task. Right now, I would take the points. 50.5, I'm a little skeptical of that because first game out of the gate, this is a college football playoff elimination game. You can argue for the most part it might be a little low scoring, but I would take the points with the Longhorns overall in the money line.
It is interesting, Joe. I think it's one of the great things about this updated landscape in college football. We can talk about the expansion of the CFP and what it means and what it's probably going to mean in 2026 at another time. We're trying to be positive and optimistic here. But I don't think it is a play-in game, right, for the CFP anymore. There is that wiggle room. We saw Ohio State as the 8th seed win a national championship despite losing to Michigan in its regular season finale as a 3-touchdown home favorite in the shoe to miss out on the college football playoff. The quarterback spot in Austin is solidified. It is Arch Manning. The quarterback spot in Columbus, very different story. Is it going to be the youngster in Julian Sayin, or is it going to be Lincoln Kienholz on the other side for Ryan Day? There's a quarterback battle that's going to continue probably into the early stages of fall camp. More marquee matchups in college football next.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Morency on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's stark but true.
You can either listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change.
Just be sure to wear gloves.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
So let's just say Ohio State, Texas is in prime time on the first full Saturday of the college football season, week number 1, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3 are co-favorites at the very least to win a national championship in 2025 right now. Oh, baby, as they used to say back in the day, because that marquee matchup and that primetime window, Joe, would extend into the battle of who is the real Death Valley. This one would be in South Carolina. Clemson and LSU. Probably a top 10, top 15 matchup between these two sets of Tigers. It was announced just about an hour ago, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, August 30th. LSU, Clemson in Death Valley, South Carolina. Now that, my friend, is a marquee matchup from the very start. Not a night game in that Death Valley down there in Baton Rouge. A night game in the other Death Valley in Clemson.
Yeah, you took a little wind out of my sails with the 7:30 kickstart. That had 3:30 written all over it on ESPN.
You got a night game behind you in Tiger Stadium right now, and you're telling me you're a noon guy. Get out of town.
3:30 Eastern time window is fantastic and dead.
Gotcha.
Sun setting. This is right now behind me is 4:30, 5 o'clock on the East Coast in October. But hey, what can you ask for? I mean, when you talk about answering the bell, LSU has to answer the bell. And I understand potentially it's not a college football playoff eliminator because there's time. But for this team, LSU, and even the other one, Clemson, they have to answer the bell to show that they're for real. You know, we know that they potentially have what it takes. Quarterbacks, Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, they're going to be fighting for the Heisman behind Arch Manning. But on top of that, you talk about a bolt to get one of these teams into the top 5 immediately in the month of September. That's what they need, because Clemson, they started out a couple of years ago against Georgia. They went with the Bulldogs for 2 quarters and got kicked in the chops and got blown out. For LSU, they haven't won a week 1 matchup in the Brian Kelly era. Now's the time to step up, baby. It's do or die for both teams. I love this matchup.
And a credit to both head coaches for taking games on like this in that opening weekend, Labor Day weekend. It feels like what you would want on the marquee in college football right from the start, because in the 3 previous years under Brian Kelly in Baton Rouge, 2 matchups against Florida State, the game against USC on Labor Day weekend on a Sunday in Sin City. But to Joe's point, 0-3 in those games. Clemson, twice in the last 4 years, has played Georgia in a marquee matchup. They've been stomped in both, and they lost to Duke to end out Labor Day weekend 2 years ago, of course, in 2023, in what started one of the worst years of Clemson football under Dabo Swinney in the last 2 decades. 4 ACC losses, the worst since Dabo's second full year back in 2009. But that's not the feel around this Clemson team entering this year, Joe. In 2024, of course, they stormed back to knock off SMU in the ACC championship game, earning a college football playoff berth. And the defense was the issue last year, not the offense and not quarterback Cade Klubnik. Clemson is a short favorite at plus 145 to win the ACC. Miami's got the second best number at plus 410. There is very high expectations this year in Clemson, South Carolina, once again.
Yeah, there are. If Cade Klubnik could play the way he did against Texas in the loss, they're going to be there. And again, he really elevated his game. That offense transformed from the start of the year to where they were at the end of the year, where they were hitting on all cylinders as it relates to the passing attack. So we'll see what they can bring. They're 2.5-point favorites at home. I would take the points with the Tigers. You know, Tigers have Nick Anderson, Barry and Brown, and Garrett Nussmeier. That is what is the total? 56.5? You might have to make that 65.5. We might have to go up, and away in that matchup.
A lot of defensive talent on Clemson. Still some questions, of course, for the Bayou Bengals. Elsewhere on that Saturday, Syracuse might be favored against Tennessee in Atlanta. 9-win Orange, 10-win Orange. Thank you, Fran Brown. Alabama, they won 10 games last year under Fran Brown. Don't say, well, me. Alabama. Dogs. I know, but they could be favored. I'm telling you. Alabama at Florida State in Tallahassee later in the afternoon. We'll have plenty more in terms of the scheduling of marquee matchups this week on Football Full Circle. He's Joe Lisi. I'm Ben Stevens. Show returns tomorrow, noon Eastern on SportsGrid Radio.
Now you've done it. You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.